Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Masterpiece Lounge with Chrisnatha. So come on into the room, join me. As you come in, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I always love to know where you're tuning in from because we know we have people who come in and they view from all over the world. And so, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Hello, hello, and hello. I am your hostess, Chrisnatha Derosier, certified life coach, author, and speaker. And I have another segment for you today. And I want to talk about getting back to grace. Getting back to grace. So that is something that has been on my heart the last few days, and I wanted to talk about it today and just to have this conversation with you. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about getting back to grace. And I just thought it was such an important topic because there's just so much going on in the world. And I feel that not just for other people, grace is also necessary for ourselves. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to extend grace to others, but also how to extend grace to yourself. How to extend grace to yourself. All right. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And one definition of grace is to do honor or credit to honor something or to give credit to something. Another definition is courteous goodwill. Okay, so just to give you an idea, so laying that foundation down so that we can really get into today's conversation. And before doing that, I just want to touch on the fact that we are talking to people all of the time, whether it's in our personal life, our professional life, and we're also talking to ourselves all of the time. There's a lot of self-talk that takes place right throughout our days. But the question is, are you condemning yourself or are you speaking life into yourself over your own situation, right? Are you condemning others? Are you being super judgmental all the time? Or are you speaking life? Some of us say we're keeping it real, which is always great, but you want to make sure you do that in love with respect while honoring and respecting someone, right? So it doesn't get messy. So that is important. And so let's be mindful of extending grace to others and ourselves. I do want to start off just by referencing some scripture so we can have some text as well. First, I want to touch on John chapter 1, verse 16 and 17. And it says, from his abundance, we have all received one gracious blessing after another. For the law was given through Moses, but God's unfailing love and faithfulness came through Jesus Christ. All right. And my second scripture is Romans 5, verse 17. And it says, for the sin of this one man, Adam, caused death to rule over many. But even greater is God's wonderful grace and his gift of righteousness. For all who receive it will live in triumph over sin and death through this one man, Jesus Christ. Once again, grace comes through Jesus Christ. We've seen that in both these texts. So I want you to have those as references and you can go back, read them again, and study them at your leisure. So John chapter 1, verse 16 through 17. In Romans 5, verse 17, all right, talking about grace. Now let's get into extending grace to others. Here are just a few ways for you to begin extending grace to other people. All right, so I got a couple of ways and I want to share them with you. The first one is to show grace with your words. Show grace with your words. So when speaking with people, you should use words that are kind and gentle. Not that you're pacifying people. We know we have to be honest, but you don't have to be rude. You don't have to do it, to be mean. Okay, so you can keep it real and still extend grace all at the same time. Of course, there's times where we need to correct other people. That's important. Parents, we got to correct our kids. But it never has to be done in a hateful or mean-spirited way. So that is something that I want us to keep in mind, that we can show grace with our words and be mindful of how we say things. The next way is to look for the needs of others. Can you help someone in a small way? Not a huge way, right? If you can, great, but just in a small way. Holding a door for someone whose arms are full, right? Can be an action that helps in a great way. Just little actions, if you seek them out, they also make a big difference. And that is an example of extending grace as well. All right. If you can be a blessing in someone's life, emotionally, mentally, financially, professionally, that is an extension of grace as well. So just apply simple kindness. It goes a long way. The next way is to respond with grace, right? We don't want to be individuals who always react. We want to respond. We don't always want to react, but we want to respond. So respond with grace. Have you been criticized by someone? We all, I'm sure, can say yes. Have you been criticized? Have you been treated unfairly, right? You don't have to let others walk all over you. That's definitely not the message that I'm trying to portray here, but you can respond in a gracious way. Sometimes you shouldn't say what you think. What do I mean? There's a lot of times the response that's happening in my head, I have to filter through it to see, will it be helpful to actually say this? Or will I say this in anger or out of frustration, right? So being able to filter some of the things I want to say. I know everyone doesn't have this personality. You might say, that's not how I am. I say what I say. I mean what I say. That's cool. But how's it working? How is that working so far for you, right? So you might want to just consider trying this approach, responding with grace. A quick response with anger will leave you seething. But the sooner you can respond with a smile and a calm spirit, the sooner you'll be able to see the truth in their words and people's words and make the changes that need to be made. Sometimes it's best to not respond right away. Sometimes you need a minute to just cool down. Another way to respond with to extend grace is a graceful presence. Take opportunities to be with someone in a time of grief. A lot of times when people are going through hard times, we think about what is the right thing to say. It's not about saying the right thing. It's about just being there. So many people will tell you, like, I just want you there. Just you being there, your presence alone was such a blessing to me. It made such the difference. So you don't have to have the right words. You don't have to just start pulling things out of the air just for the sake of saying something, but you want to make sure that people can feel that presence. So just extending grace with your presence. So you don't need to necessarily deliver some huge special speech all of the time, but your presence may be all that someone needs for them to really feel that you love them. You know, when someone's ill, maybe in the hospital or even at funerals or whatever the case is, your presence says so much. So be present, be there, have a graceful presence for others. That really does make a difference. Stopping by when someone is going through a hard time, if you can, that just makes the difference. Another way of showing grace to others is forgiving with grace. When someone asks forgiveness, accept their apology graciously, right? This may not be easy all of the time. They have come to you humbly asking for forgiveness, right? So if someone comes to you humbly asking for forgiveness, accept their apology. Maybe that's not the right time to start to tell them why they should have done what they did, and or you should have came to me sooner. You may feel that way, and those feelings are valid. So I want to validate those feelings, but maybe that moment isn't the right time to have that conversation. Maybe it is having it later, right? So that's just something to think about. You may want to have another conversation in the future, but allow them to see that you've accepted their apology and then later share with them the correction and direction that they need. And I know that every scenario when forgiving someone doesn't go that smoothly, but we can at least make the attempt. Another way to extend grace to others is to learn to say, I'm sorry. Learn to apologize. This is hard for a lot of people because sometimes our ego and our pride is leading. But it's important that when you make a mistake, swallow your pride and ask for forgiveness. Maybe they wronged you in some way and you responded inappropriately, right? You can ask them to forgive you for your response. It's okay. Remember, grace is giving to the other person what they don't deserve. Remember, grace is giving to the other person what they don't deserve. Even if, in your opinion, they don't deserve an apology, you can ask for their forgiveness for your wrong response. I should not have reacted that way. I apologize, right? So that's something to think about and even start to put in practice. Let's see. Another way to extend grace is to clean up that language. Beyond using gentle words with those around you, be careful how you express yourself. Do you have some words in your vocabulary? Let's be honest, that shouldn't be there. Um, no judgment here, just saying, right? That's a personal question for you to do some inner reflection. Okay. So you may want to just clean up your language in the way that you articulate yourself to others. Um, Another way is to say thank you. Say thank you. I know this sounds so simple, and we probably should have learned this so long ago, right? But you'd be surprised. Take the time to say thank you, even for some of the things that you kind of expect people to do for you. Thank you goes a long way. Show gratitude. Take the time to say thank you. It doesn't cost anything, just to show the gratitude and let people know that you were grateful. You can write a simple card, right? Expressing your appreciation for a kind act on someone's behalf. Like, just do something really small by saying thank you, writing a note, sending that text, making that phone call, saying thank you so much for this. Text your friends today. Thank you for being a great friend, right? Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for holding space for me. That is so important, and that really makes a difference in someone's day. Another way to show grace to others is to take interest in others. Take interest, right? It's so important. Take interest, find more things out about someone, really get to know people. I think that's really, really key. Now we're going to move into just 5 ways that I'm going to share with you that you can start to extend grace to yourself, because we can't forget about us, right? We want to extend grace to others, but also to ourselves. And just a couple of ways to extend grace to yourself. Number one is, don't be perfect, be real. This obsession with being perfect can really cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and even make you feel even down and depressed, feeling like you're not doing enough. So I don't want you to spend so much time focused on the things that maybe you can't do or you're not good at, but focusing on your strengths, right? Operating in your strengths, and not trying to be perfect, but always progressing forward, because no one is perfect. Number two is make room for mistakes. Number two is making room for mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. None of us know everything, and that is okay. We make a mistake, we bounce back, and we learn how to do better moving forward. So don't beat yourself up. Just dust your shoulders off and keep going. Number three is to give yourself permission to not do everything. You don't have to be the answer to everybody's um, emergency. You don't have to be the go-to for everything. It's okay to just support, right, in different ways. And it's okay in your life if you don't reach every single item on your to-do list today, not to feel bad, because hey, if you got to 3, if you got to 2, you still are a lot further ahead than you were yesterday. So give yourself some grace there as well. Okay. You don't have to do everything and all of those things. So give yourself some grace, delegate some things, and let's move on. Number 4, never feel selfish for taking you time. It is important for you to take care of yourself. Don't put everyone ahead of you and then you're crumbling, right? You want to make sure that you're taking care of your health. You're taking care of your, in every way, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. It's important for you to be whole, right? For you to be good, so that you can manage all the things that you are responsible for. So take care of yourself. It's not a selfish thing. It is important, and you are a priority. And number 5, lastly, is do one thing a day that you're proud of. What is something that you are proud of? Do one thing a day, just one thing that you are proud of. So those are just a few ways to extend some grace to yourself. So today we talked about extending grace to others and extending grace to yourself. So guys, I hope today's segment was super, super encouraging to you, that you can start to like really pull from something I've shared today so you can start getting back to grace. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I am your hostess with the mostest, certified life coach, author, and speaker, Chrisnatha Derosier, signing off until next time. And until then, be well. Take care, everyone.